Stuttgart semifinal tickets are selling for $5,984 on secondary platforms, and Alexandra Eala hasn't played a single point in the tournament yet. That number is not a typo. And it's not the finals price, it's the semifinal price. The championship match on Sunday, April 19th, the actual final, is listed at $517. The market has flipped the entire logic of professional tennis upside down, and the governing body that runs the sport has no framework to explain why. What unfolded inside the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart in the days after April 8, 2026 isn't just a ticket story, it's a stress test of an institution. The Women's Tennis Association Tournament Director Markus Gunthard, Operating Tournament Director Anke Huber, and the entire infrastructure of the WTA 500 circuit are now staring at a commercial reality that was built without their permission and priced without their control. This is what the Eala Effect looks like when it hits a venue with finite walls.
Alexandra Eala replaces Zheng when has to withdraw due to injury, but fans can now look forward to seeing Alex step in.
See, on April 8th, 2026, world number 37 Qinwen Zheng withdrew from the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix due to injury. As the top alternate, Alexandra Eala was promoted directly into the main draw. No qualifying rounds, straight in. The announcement went out immediately. The market moved faster. The Porsche Arena is an intimate, high-quality venue. It's traditionally known for attracting a sophisticated local European crowd. It was not built for what came next. Ticket inventory for the main draw sessions was gone. Secondary platforms StubHub and Viagogo logged a price escalation that, by the time play started on April 13th, had produced numbers now being discussed across the entire tennis industry. Round of 16 tickets, $242 on the secondary market against an official price of around €120. Semifinals, $5,984. Finals, $517. The inversion is total. The round where Alexandra Eala's presence is probable but not yet locked in, the semifinal, is commanding a premium that's more than 11 times the championship match price. Markus Gunthard and Anke Huber have acknowledged the pressure that high-demand players put on the Porsche Arena's capacity. But what that acknowledgement doesn't capture is what this data is actually telling us. Stuttgart isn't buying tennis right now. It's placing a structured financial bet on the progression of one specific player.
We came here because she's also here. Of course.
To understand Stuttgart, you need to understand what Alexandra Eala's commercial profile actually looks like in real numbers, not in storylines, not in rankings. In early 2026, Eala's press conference footage on YouTube pulled 171,000 views. The comparable benchmark for Novak Djokovic, arguably the most decorated active player in the sport's history, is 80,000 views for equivalent content. Eala's press conference numbers are more than double. At the 2026 BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells, tickets for Eala's matches sold out within 60 seconds of going live on digital platforms. 60 seconds. The secondary market price for a quarterfinal appearance involving Eala reached $5,000, several 100% above official face value. By March 2026, Eala's merchandise had hit the #1 global sales position among all WTA players, ahead of multiple Grand Slam champions. Her Nike signature shirt sold out worldwide in under 72 hours. For context, a standard celebrity merchandise line typically takes weeks to months to move that kind of volume. And here's what makes all of that even more striking. At 20 years of age, with a career-high ranking of number 29 reached on March 31st, 2026, a ranking that had already slipped back to number 46 in the weeks before Stuttgart, Alexandra Eala is generating commercial numbers that have no real precedent in the structure of women's professional tennis. The ___quote_0__, as the industry now calls the massive, highly mobile Filipino fan contingent, is not a regional curiosity. It's a global demand engine. At the 2026 Australian Open, thousands of Filipino supporters packed outside courts for Eala's match against Alicia Parks. The volume of people was so significant it triggered a scheduling row, forcing Melbourne Park to rethink its crowd management protocols entirely. Eala's market value has completely decoupled from her ranking. That's the central fact here. And it's the fact that the Women's Tennis Association has been institutionally unable to process.
This has never happened to me before.
And that's where the Stuttgart story gets significantly more consequential than just a ticket price anomaly. In the period following the 2026 Miami Open, a leaked internal memo from the WTA board entered public circulation. According to that document, WTA officials internally discussed a $4.7 million financial shortfall at the start of the 2026 season. And critically, some officials reportedly tried to link that shortfall to the disruption caused by Alexandra Eala's non-traditional commercial rise. Sit with that framing for a moment. A governing body with a $4.7 million deficit is pointing at the player who simultaneously holds the #1 merchandise sales position on the entire tour as part of the problem. Market analysts have pushed back hard on this. The argument from their side is that Eala has been a net positive for the WTA's finances, driving record ticket and merchandise revenue that the governing body simply failed to account for in its own budget projections. In that reading, the $4.7 million shortfall isn't a consequence of the Eala effect. It's evidence that WTA financial planning was built around a commercial model that Eala's rise had already made obsolete before the season even began. The institution wrote its budget as if 2026 would look like 2024. Alexandra Eala made sure it wouldn't. The term that came out of those leaked WTA communications, merchandising equity, is worth examining directly because it reveals exactly what kind of anxiety is running through the organization right now. Merchandising equity, as reportedly used by the WTA board, described what they saw as an imbalance. Eala's commercial output had significantly outpaced her athletic ranking. The traditional model of tennis promotion is built on a hierarchy where the highest-ranked players are the primary faces of marketing. Eala, ranked number 46 at the time of Stuttgart, was outselling players in the top 10. For a governing body built on the logic of ranking as authority, that's not an exciting development. It's a structural problem. Fans and analysts have pointed to what they're calling receipts, documented evidence that despite being the top merchandise seller on the entire tour, Eala has received limited visibility in official WTA promotional emails and marketing collateral. The accusation being made publicly is direct, that the WTA has been actively trying to manage the pace of Eala's commercial growth rather than amplify it. Eala's response to all of this has been described as professionally distant. She's chosen to stay focused on her technical development at the Rafa Nadal Academy, working under Tony Nadal and coach Joan Bosch, rather than get pulled into the institutional politics of the tour. That silence, given everything surrounding it, carries its own kind of weight. Before Stuttgart, there was Linz. On April 4th, 2026, 9 days before Alexandra Eala faced Leylah Fernandez in Stuttgart, reports emerged from the Linz Open of something that doesn't happen often in professional tennis. Sponsors of the Linz event reportedly forced the issuance of a wildcard entry for Eala specifically to protect the tournament's revenue projections. The standard framework in professional tennis is that wildcard decisions sit with tournament directors, sometimes in consultation with the WTA. What the Linz reports describe is something different. Commercial stakeholders stepping into the player selection process to prevent a financial outcome they weren't willing to accept. The WTA doesn't publicly confirm or deny sponsor pressure on wildcard decisions. But when you line up what happened in Linz on April 4th with what happened in Stuttgart 9 days later, a $5,984 secondary market spike for a single semifinal session, it tells a consistent story. The market, the sponsors, and the fans are all reaching the same conclusion through completely separate routes. The WTA is the last institution in professional tennis to fully accept what the rest of the ecosystem already prices in. Now here's the data point that reframes the entire Stuttgart story. Standard tennis ticket economics follow a straightforward logic. The championship final commands the highest price. It features the two best players left in the draw. It's the culmination of the whole event, and it's why people buy the expensive tickets in the first place. Everything else is priced below it. That model holds across Grand Slams, Masters events, WTA 500s, all of it. Stuttgart 2026 has broken that model entirely. The semifinal on April 18th, the session where Alexandra Eala's presence becomes statistically probable if she gets past Leylah Fernandez, past the Jasmine Paolini and Elena Rybakina section of the draw, and into the Final Four, is listed at $5,984 on secondary platforms. The final on April 19th is $517. Let that land. The championship match costs $517. The semifinal costs $5,984. What the Stuttgart secondary market has built is not a traditional sports ticket hierarchy. It's a probability-weighted investment in one specific player's run through a draw. The people paying $5,984 aren't buying tennis. They're paying for the specific, unrepeatable possibility of watching Alexandra Eala on a Stuttgart Saturday. And they're doing this knowing full well that Eala's ranking of number 46 means her long-term presence in major main draws isn't structurally guaranteed. Eala must defend 390 ranking points earned during her 2025 Miami run. If those points aren't replaced, her ranking falls back out of the top 50. Making Grand Slam direct entry what analysts have called, quote, 6 all over again. The $5,984 buyer knows all of this. That buyer is betting on Stuttgart specifically in April 2026 because the window might not stay open. The Stuttgart draw placed Alexandra Eala against Leylah Fernandez in the first round on April 13, 2026, the first career meeting between the two players on the professional tour. Fernandez is of Filipino-Canadian descent through her mother. Both players are left-handed. It's the first time two left-handers with Filipino heritage have met at the WTA main draw level in this configuration. Tournament organizers put this match on as a main draw feature on the very first day of play, a direct response to the viewership demand that the Eala Effect generates across Southeast Asia and North America. For the Filipino community globally, this isn't a first-round match, it's a heritage derby, and the winner steps into a section of the draw that includes Jasmine Paolini and world number 2 Elena Rybakina. And that's exactly where Martina Navratilova's early 2026 technical assessment becomes important. Navratilova praised Alexandra Eala's creativity and her constructivist approach to building points. She highlighted what she called ___7, ___, and the advantage of left-handed angles as genuine weapons at this level. But Navratilova's analysis also identified a specific weakness in power when Eala goes up against the tour's elite hitters, naming Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff as the reference point. Eala's serve, in Navratilova's judgment, needs more ___9_ before it can hold up against that kind of raw power. Elena Rybakina is world number 2. Rybakina's serve puts her among the most physically dominant players in the sport. Stuttgart's draw, by circumstance and by chance, has set up the exact test Navratilova described. The $5,984 market is paying to watch that test unfold in real time.
After that, and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously, she wants to get better than where she is now. She's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination and ability to take the ball early and redirect. But the fan stuff is always fun for me, because whenever you see players from smaller countries, the fans are so passionate when they get up to the top.
The total prize fund for the 2026 Porsche Tennis Grand Prix is $1,206,446. The singles champion takes home $188,438 and a Porsche 911 Carrera S Cabriolet. Standard figures for a WTA 500 event. In the context of this week, those numbers are almost beside the point. The broader economic impact of the Eala Effect on Stuttgart's hospitality and travel sectors, driven by diaspora fans flying to Germany specifically for Eala's clay court debut, hasn't been formally quantified in any available figure. What we do have is the secondary market data. StubHub and Viagogo are moving single-session Porsche Arena tickets at $5,984, while the official championship final sits at $517. The WTA's decision to award the Philippines a 125 event in Manila for January 2026 is the clearest institutional signal yet that the governing body has only started, to process what the raw engagement metrics are actually saying. The 10 debate hasn't been resolved. The promotional visibility gap hasn't been publicly addressed. The $4.7 million shortfall framing hasn't been walked back. Analysts describe Eala's brand as having achieved what they call, quote, 11, a commercial floor that holds her market value steady regardless of short-term ranking drops. The Porsche Arena is at capacity this week. The movement Eala represents appears to have no current ceiling, but here's the question that $5,984 cannot answer. If Alexandra Eala walks off the Stuttgart court on April 13th, having lost to Leylah Fernandez in the first round, if the Heritage Derby ends on the wrong side of the net, what exactly did the secondary market just price? The semifinal ticket will still say $5,984. The seat will be empty of the reason it was purchased. And the Women's Tennis Association, Marcus Guntart, Anke Huber, and every sponsor who forced a Linz wildcard to protect their revenue projections will have to sit with a question that doesn't go away. Is the institution they manage actually built for a commercial ecosystem that runs entirely on one player's continued presence on the court? That question doesn't get answered this week. It gets deferred again.